time to change the narrative. Black gay men talking real issues and they sharing it. Everything from dating, even talking hot topics. Mental health, sex, love, and everything around it. No longer will be silent. It's time for liberation. We need way more positive representation. Learn and connect. This is everything you need. Sharing their perspective. Now you knowing what's the P.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What's the P, a show that provides a platform for gay Black men to express their perspectives on topics, issues, and concerns of the world around us. I'm Curtis Russello.
I'm Justin Lamar.
And this is What's the P. Today, joining us for today's topic, we have CJ. Hey, CJ. Mr. Ivory. And Mr. Ethan. Thank you guys for joining us for today's topic, which is the social impact of COVID in the Black gay community. The purpose of the show is to discuss the impact of COVID that COVID has had on the well-beings of Black gay men, how it has, or if it has, affected your employment, your healthcare, your housing security, how you've worked with limited grocery resources since people were buying up stuff out there? Has it made you think about family ties and friendships differently? Has it made you interact with your friends and family differently? And will that continue after this is over, if it ever ends?
Right.
So we're going to jump into our first question.
All right. Let's jump right into it. Go ahead.
Many of us have lost jobs or our jobs have been put on furlough. The economy was closed for quite a while, and it has allowed us to think about our finances. It definitely made me think about how I make money, because my money is based off of me actually physically being at work. Has this impacted the way you have thought about your financial security in your work life? Ethan?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I don't know if the audience really knows too much about me, but working in HR, we deal with a lot of furloughs with a lot of different employees, and just to see how that impacts the general population is one thing, but I think especially for Black queer POCs, yeah, definitely. I mean, the fear or the concern of being put on furlough is definitely something to think about. So, how it related to me, I actually just switched careers in the middle of a pandemic. And so even for me in the interview process was like, are y'all going to furlough? Like, you just finished furloughing people. If I join the organization, it's, last one in, first one out. So it definitely was something that I was fearful of going into a different career. I think just in terms of how I look towards like financial literacy and security, it definitely did change my spending habits throughout the pandemic. Before, I think I looked at income as purely I could just dispense it, disposable. And, now it's been, I've switched to more generics. I've started, grocery shopping at different places like Costco, the dollar store, focusing on saving more money instead of focusing on trips. It's, how can I invest more money? How can I put more money towards, cutting down on debt? So it definitely has changed, the way I spend. Absolutely. I think there's been more of a conservative approach with how I deal with things in general. So, yeah, and I think that may still carry on after this. I've definitely picked up some really good traits in terms of how to save money and how to spend wisely. So I would say absolutely.
Definitely think as a gay man, I think since I don't have dependents, and not all gay men have dependents. I mean, I don't have dependents, but I don't have dependents, and so I was spending money a little bit more freely than what I probably should have. And
hello.
Anyways, so I was fortunate enough that my sister is actually working as a financial analyst, and she's been helping me with not only my P&Ls, but actually helping me with understanding investments and where I should save money a little more. I definitely stopped spending outside and eating at restaurants.
Yes.
A lot more.
Yes.
I was eating out a lot, eating Oh God, my stomach can tell you. So I think in that instance, and I wasn't spending on frivolous stuff. I was definitely utilizing my disposable income and making it very disposable. So I think that's what a lot of gay men tend to do. We have a lot of disposable income, and we don't tend to think about all the time. Black men think about like investments later, but I'm definitely, since I'm a man of a certain age, as you can tell from the gray hair, I'm definitely
on the other side of 30.
I've definitely been working on investments now and thinking about how I'm going to work should this happen again. Like, it was freaky. I'm a hairstylist now, and I've really was, there was no income for 3 months. There was no income for me. And it freaked me out. And I was trying to figure out like what I was going to do and how I was going to make money and continue my lease, pay my car payment, I was lucky that I bought food way beforehand. Oh my God.
No, I think people went went out of control when it came to buying groceries and leaving grocery stores like empty. I think for me.
Oh, well, let's go to one and then roll back to you. So
let's do CJ.
Your mic, CJ.
You good?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So, being a person who deals with finance every day, I'm an accountant by trade. So, my life didn't get impacted as much because of how I thought about things prior to going into this. One of the things that I learned very early on was that even though I make a certain amount of money, I live as if I make this amount of money. So every year I do a budget analysis of what I spent over the year. And I say, okay, I make this kind of money. I need to look at my life. How would it be if I only made $50,000 versus the number that I make, or $60,000? Can I live within that budget? Can I live within those means in order to be able to save, have something in back, in my savings, have something in, what I call my rainy day fund as well. And it just worked for me that I was able to do that. I also believe in the principle of 80-20, which is bills, everything is 80% of what I make with that budget, and then give God 10% and I pay myself 10%. And I think if people start thinking about things like that, then it'll start to prepare you for things of this magnitude. If you pay yourself, even though you work for a company, you should always pay yourself, not just in your 401k, but you should also have a fund where if you give 5% to 401k, then you give another 5% to yourself. Well, that's 10% that you're paying yourself. And if you think of it that way, you begin to build a fund that helps you to.
So where did you learn those principles for yourself as a gay man? Because I notice a lot of gay men, we tend, as gay men, and I'm just going to say generally, just speaking generally and being stereotypical, a lot of us go out and we buy nice bags, we have expensive cars, we go on trips a lot. Where did you come up with your concept to do that, and where did you learn? Where did you? I know you say you're accountant, but where did you get those principles and to understand how to do that for yourself?
Well, I will disclaim, I like nice things, so I do buy my Gucci, I travel, I do all of those things.
But you do that within your budget, though.
Yes, within my budget. I budget 2 or 3 big ticket items to buy. I budget a trip or 2 a year that are major trips, not just going to, California or something like that. I budget. But it really came from my grandfather. My grandfather was an entrepreneur who knew business, and he always, like, at an early age, I learned business from him. I learned the principles of accounting. I learned the principles of saving from him sitting me down and saying, okay, do this payroll with me. do this, do
Mm.
these accounts payables with me. That's
So
how I learned.
generational wealth.
Yes, and that's what it
because
was.
I didn't learn. Nobody
He
talked
wanted
about
to
that
make
much
sure.
anymore.
He wanted to make sure that we were set up financially as a family, and he wanted us to continue it going.
Okay, that's nice.
We
So,
go to Ivory.
Ivory,
Hold on. Go ahead. He's good.
what happened?
That was
Ivory, you disappeared.
Oh, hold on.
I was like, it was me.
Well, while you get that together really quick, Ivory, we'll just let Justin talk
Yeah.
real quick.
So for me, I think, you think,
Ivory, you might have to log out and then log back in.
I was thinking that the economy was going to, I was like, who's next, right?
Yeah,
Even no matter if you work
because
for,
he was an essential worker.
yeah, but still, I was scared more like, listen, all these people coming in, am I next to get sick, right? Am I
Yeah.
going to be able to work? Yes, we're essential, but still we had to be in contact. I think that was the biggest for me, like just staying healthy for I can work, and then like, how do I want to work 40 hours a week? Do I want to work just to stay safe? I think that was my biggest concern.
How'd you think about your finances? Are you thinking
We
about
got paid more
finances?
money.
But did you save that money?
Oh yeah. So when we got a bonus, I put that to the side, and then we got like an additional bonus. I was like, well, I'm gonna put this for a rainy day, because what if I get COVID, right? Even though they do pay you if you get sick at work, but I put that money aside. My stimulus, I put aside. I just put all that money up. So for me, I think I just used all my money all my bonuses and the stimulus, and put it up. Okay. So therefore, if I get sick, and in case I don't go back after 14 days, this
still
is
able to pay your bills,
right.
And stuff.
Still be able to pay my stuff, because I had just got a new car in the beginning of the year. So,
you sure did.
So it was weird. Ivory, go ahead, your turn.
All right. So luckily, I work for a company who is an essential business. So as working for an essential company, then a lot of resources were available to me because we get them first. So when it comes to like groceries, toilet paper, disinfectant, things like that. So those things were available. But when it comes to the financial side of it, I always when the pandemic first began, me and my sister, we were discussing, because she owns a salon and a bunch of other businesses as well. We were discussing, like, as a salon owner, what is she going to do now? I was telling her that when it comes to financial literacy, like someone mentioned, a lot of people don't have that. So when you manage other people's money, so like CJ, as an accountant, besides managing your own funds, operationally you manage other people's businesses as well as I do, managing P&L, thinking about, gains and losses and things like that. So I told myself, in the event that for some reason I'm furloughed, do I have at least 3 months of expenses saved? Mm-hmm. So rent, car note, medical things, like, can I survive with what I have? And just like what CJ mentioned, if you can budget for your life, and you say, now, in the event that I made this amount of money, how would I do it? In the event that I made this amount of money, how would I do it? Then you have some people who went from making X amount of dollars to $0 because they wasn't receiving any income. So I think for me, because I'm like a hustler, so like I do a bunch of stuff on the side, so
just for
you gotta.
fans.
Yeah. I'm like bruh man from the Phillips Law off Martin. So, you gotta make your money how you can. You still have to keep thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Because is this gonna continue? And things are changing, but making sure that, I'm okay. Luckily, I do live alone. I'm not in a relationship. I don't have to look out for nobody else. I have no kids. So things like that. But then I know people who are in situations to where they were affected by this, by being furloughed, even the simple quarantine thing. Some people jobs, they'll tell you, hey, go quarantine, and some people didn't get paid. So 14 days is a lot of income for a lot of people if you're not a salaried employee. If you're an hourly employee, missing 14 days of work determines if you don't eat, or if your rent is paid, if your rent is not paid, and you're thinking, okay, do I have PTO time to put in? Just things that you can do, like flattening out all of your accounts. But I know for me, I have rethought my finances and how I spend, and I do shop. People know me. I know I shop a lot. I have a shop problem, but that's within my means and within my budget to still be able to live. But I have kind of changed that a little to make sure that, if something happened, will I be okay? So that's how I did it.
Okay, which takes us to our next question.
Next question.
Spending.
Oh, well, I got it.
Oh,
okay. Since quarantine, have you considered?
Oh well, he can stay on.
Have you considered about who and how you socialize, and with who, and how will you continue to move forward?
So the reality is it did change. So quarantining, having friends that have been infected or by COVID-19, or knowing people. I had employees. It was just a lot. And because I did go to work every day, we've never closed. So as a frontline person, then I was exposed to thousands of people coming into my store every day.
Mm-hmm.
So do I want to leave that space of me working, going to a friend's house who might be working from home, who might not be exposed to the amount of people that I'm exposed to? So that did change. So considering that, and even prioritizing how you spend your time. I'm a social person.
Very social.
I love the bars. I love the clubs.
I love the life.
I love the life, baby.
Everybody
give it to me.
Late nights, early mornings. Getting home at
early mornings.
Oh, yeah, y'all know. So late nights, early mornings, you have to think, oh, am I gonna go out? And me, I go out everybody. So, I'm like, do I do that? Like, do I still do that? Okay, so yeah. So then, you put yourself at risk when you do that. Those consequences that come associated, along with that. But you have to say, am I willing to do that to have a good time? Am I willing to do that to see my friends? Then absolutely. I've made some poor choices during the pandemic because I've been out and about the people of God, doing ministry, like I say, whenever I'm out and about. But
ministry.
Yeah, I've been doing ministry. Yeah, ministry. Yeah. It comes in many forms, baby. Ministry.
Come on, ministry.
Yeah, that's right. So, doing that, I do. So yes, I have had to change that, kind of rethink that, especially with my family.
Will you be doing that forward? Will you change it moving forward though? Like, or will you go back to how you were?
Well, yeah, I'm going back to it. Because this not going to change. This not going to change. I drink Tito's too, so it kills all germs.
Oh, okay.
So
we got to go to the next person.
Ethan, go ahead.
Ethan, go ahead.
Oh, man.
Tito,
look,
you done turned into Trump instead of bleaching was Tito's.
That's how they was making the hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I would say definitely the way quarantine has made me reconsider and prioritize who and how I socialize. I think like when quarantine first began, or when I guess Texas started opening up, you kind of at the corner of your eyes, like who's going out, where are they going, what are they doing? And I mean, and I'll be honest, I have friends that are like, you see so-and-so out, like, at the club every weekend. And I think what it demonstrated was like who was mature and who was responsible, and who I'll continue to hang out with after this situation wraps up. Because it was like, I would see the same people out, like
busting it wide open,
and just not socially distancing, not wearing masks. Yeah, just complete. So it's kind of one of those situations where I think like I ended up, they called them pods. So like during the middle or like the heat of it, I just had 3 people. And like every Friday we would like come over, have drinks at each other's houses. And it would be like, I haven't hung out with anybody else. Have you? No? Okay, you can come over. So we kept it very tight because we just saw so many friends around us like going out of town or doing this. And so it became more of a who's responsible, or who do you feel like is, values their life enough to spend time with them. So it was really about maturity and the level of responsibility. I think in terms of taking that outside of friends, even just like the whole platform of dating. Like, it was interesting when, pre-COVID, dating was just like open, you went out and did with whatever. And then slowly, like on dating apps, people were like social distancing. Oh, like they put that in their like profile, like social distance only, like COVID is not worth it. So even like dating, it was a rough transition because, typically you meet somebody, you may FaceTime, you may video chat or meet them in person. And it became like this huge vetting experience where it was like, all right, like we're going to talk on the phone, we're going to take this off the app, we're going to keep FaceTiming. And then finally, like, you can come over. And even after that, it was like, they would leave my partner, like I would leave, whatever. And I was like, damn, like,
did I do that?
Doing a temp check, like I'd be doing a temp check like 2 or 3 days after I met them. Like you okay? Like you got, like, it genuinely was a sense of panic because you really don't know who and where they've been. Like, it creates another layer. It creates another level of what else am I exposing myself to? Like, especially being Black men, there's already
HIV. You're worried HIV.
Yeah.
Syphilis,
and so then it's like, did I need to meet this person? And I mean, sex aside, like, let's say we didn't even sleep together, but was it that important enough for me to meet this person in the pandemic and then risk that? And it was tough because, there's a period where naturally we want companionship, we want company. And like after 2 months, it was like, okay, like I got to meet somebody. So it's still, yeah, it was tough. But I would say dating was a challenge. And then just even with outings, like even now I'm very, it's kind of like the saying goes, like who all is over there, who going? So like even when people are like, hey, come to this event, come here, like it depends on who's going to be there. Like it really depends on who's promoting the event, who's holding the event. And then especially with my family, I think too, it's prioritized how I interact. I mean, I have grandparents that are still on this earth. So I take that into consideration, especially with visiting them, because they already have comorbidities and different things going on with them. So I would say it definitely has changed how I have socialized and interacted with them. Even personally, I think the concept of self-care hasn't become so prevalent until quarantine happened. And so even with the dynamic of family and friends, like I've had to learn how to establish strong boundaries, like, between just like mental health, like I can't see you today. Like, come over for Sunday dinner, I'm not coming over. And it's not necessarily I'm scared to see them, but it's just like I physically just need space to be by myself. So it's definitely changed how I interact with my family as well. Because some days they're like, well, we haven't seen you in 3 weeks. I'm going through some things over here. Like, I need to focus on myself, take care of myself, water my own garden. Love y'all. I'll FaceTime you, but like I have to
water my own garden. I love that.
But it's definitely changed. Like prioritized, personal care as well as.
You think you're going to keep that going forward though?
I will. I think what I've learned, especially growing into myself and understanding what I want out of life, I think the understanding of boundaries is okay. And I feel more comfortable with saying no to people, especially my parents, like, no, I'm not coming over today. Or even with friends, like, no, I'm not interested in hanging out tonight. And I think before I felt
obligated,
some type of obligation to say yes. Yeah. But I think knowing what it feels like to say no and to take care of myself through this new concept of self-care after quarantine, I think that'll be something that I'll keep up.
I think I agree with you. I went through a phase where I was kicking it all the time when I first moved to Houston, and then I slowly that tapered off. But over these last couple of during COVID, I really kind of became a hermit, and the only person that really saw me all the time was Justin. I didn't until what?
I'm just looking.
Oh, I thought he was trying to give me shade. But I didn't, and only time because I got really sick, and it scared the hell out of me. And I don't have insurance, and I have a compromised immune system, and I just it really fucked me good. And I was in the hospital for 8 days, and I don't ever want to feel like that ever again. And so going to work, I even put in place a lot of standards now. I've had to save up money to buy things. Like I have an air filtration system. I have a UV wand.
He wear it around his neck.
I have a three. I
like
have this thing that does a negative ion emitter.
He look like Iron Man.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't play, and so like even at the club, like I go to the bar on Sundays now, and there are some people I hug, but a lot of people like at the bar last time I was like, ooh, don't, like I'm staying out on the porch. I won't go inside.
Ooh, no.
I grab a drink real quick and then run back.
No, you remember Keon told us everybody went to this house party and then everybody went to 2020 and then they all got sick.
Yes, I can't.
I said,
I can't do it. I can't. I said, I don't want to change my life. I mean, I don't want to not experience things and become a hermit.
Correct.
So I know I have to get over that fear so I can still interact with people, but I'm just trying to be more cognizant of it. I have a brother that I found that was adopted that we found in January. And my mom had a birthday in August. And nobody except my sister and my mom and I have met him. And my brother was coming to Dallas to take pictures for my mother's birthday, and all my we were going to take family pictures, and like all my cousins and everybody found out, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to come over," and I was like, "The fuck you are? Like you guys can't come over. Like y'all gonna meet him some other time because I can't get sick. Like it's like I don't know where y'all been. Like I love my family to death, but I was like, what happens? Like if I get sick again, I want to see you guys, but I can't. And then the one cousin that was able to come over, she was like, "We just got a COVID test. Our job does a test like every week." And I was like, "Okay, you can come." But everybody else, I was like, "Y'all gonna have to meet him some other time because I'm not getting sick by y'all." You know, so I love you to death, but I don't know where the hell y'all been. And I risk myself every day just by being at work. Yeah. You know, but I have to work. So, so unnecessary risk, I try to avoid them as much as possible, as much as possible. But, you know,
CJ,
and it'll continue, I think, because I'm scared.
Life changed for me. Life did change, but what I developed was a quarantine circle of people who, you know, we knew each other. We knew how sort of we moved. And so we sort of did the same thing of spending time together when we couldn't go to the club. So, you know, it was like playing spades. Come on, we're playing spades. We're having drinks. We're going to enjoy each other. We cooked. We didn't go out, but we knew each other. That was who we spent time with. And so that circle was the outlet. You know, we all have our times. Like he said, we have to water our garden because we're getting depleted during this time because we're at home. And so there were times I did say, no, I'm not going, or no, I don't want to be around this. And it did change. It was just until recently, it was in June, that I said, I have to live life again because I sort of got into a bubble. I didn't really want to do anything. I want to go get my hair cut. I want to go hang with my quarantine circle. I want to be at home work. That was it. I didn't want, you know, I'm not a club person anyway, so that didn't bother me. I wasn't fazed by that. I have a whole bar at home, so if I want to get drunk, I can get drunk in my house and go upstairs to my bed. But I was getting so to a place where I was, you know, I didn't want to go in a store. I didn't want to do this. And so I had to break that. And I had to just go out and start going to the stores and start getting little pieces of my life, to the fact that, you know, now I've traveled. I've been a couple of places. You know, I just went to the Dominican not too long ago. I'm getting ready to go out of town again this week. But I'm learning to live life again. But I learned how to live it with taking care of me first and then protecting myself from everything else. Because if you take care of yourself, I feel like you can make it through this. And you do have to change. This is going to change. It's going to change us forever. We're not going to, I mean, even though we want to go back to some normalcy, this is our new normal. And so we have to be able to embrace it and be able to accept some of the things that's going to come with it. We may not be able to, you know, we may not feel comfortable with being enclosed in environments like we used to be. And we all may have, you know, those little idiosyncrasies about us, but it's just taking care of yourself and spending time and learning, how do I take care of myself to make sure that if I do decide this, I'm okay. And that's how I looked at it.
And that's what goes into our next question is kind of like, what aspects did COVID, especially being when we were on quarantine for a while, did COVID make you think about previously forgotten aspects of your life? Like, did it make you think about how you have advanced in your career, your health goals? Were there bucket list ideas, things that you didn't, that you have forgotten about, that you really wanted to start back up again and that you focused back up on? Because I know personally, I had a lot of time. I was one of the unfortunate ones that didn't have a significant other or somebody in my house with me. And so I had a lot of alone time. And when I wasn't sick, I really started focusing on reading French again and learning French. I started thinking heavily about how I want to transition from working from behind the chair to working on my franchise. And so it made me think about those stuff that I had put to the back burner by doing everyday things over and over again, and being like I was in a continuous, like a hamster on a wheel, just making things work instead of focusing on the future or things that I hadn't thought about in a while, like in a bucket list, or like I wanted to see the pyramids and stuff. I'm a big Ancient Aliens fan, and I hadn't seen a couple of different things. So it made me think about those. Did y'all think about stuff like that? Did the quarantine make you think differently?
Let's do Ethan. Let's start with Ethan.
Ethan,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think there were definitely a lot of different things. I mean, when you have nothing but time to yourself, there's so many things that you can think about. I think for me, at the beginning, I definitely felt a sense of like remorse and regret because Ivory likes to shake the fuck out of me, but you know me, I'm one of those kids. I come out, I don't go anywhere. You will see me maybe like once every 2 months, just enough for you to know what I look like. And so I think, looking back, I was like, damn, like if somebody asked me to go out today, like I would say yes, or like I should have spent more time, creating memories and moments with people versus, being that guy that's like, the club's not for me. So I had that feeling at the beginning, but I think the bigger things that I wanted, that I focus on now more, are opportunities to travel, kind of back to CJ's point. It definitely 2020 has definitely put it into perspective where it's like you get one life and just make that decision. So before I was always conservative, like, well, it's just like, I just don't have it's not the right time to take a trip. I have a project at work. This is just not the right time. Maybe I'll save that money for something else. And I was like, I got friends going to Puerto Vallarta, like, it's a Tuesday, let's go, pack your bags. It's Thursday, like, let's just go to, Vegas. So I think for me, it's definitely been, just being more, I won't say capricious, but just more spontaneous with enjoying life,
Okay.
So that's something that's on my list. I thought about traveling more. I think COVID has definitely put more of like the mirror in my face in terms of companionship. I've definitely had to sit back and say, reevaluate the relationships that I've had and kind of what role I've played in them. I've tried to avoid being that guy that's like, hey, big head, how's your quarantine doing? But I've definitely like looked back and said, okay, well, maybe this didn't work this time around. What would I do differently? And I think just like rest and balance. I mean, it's definitely slowed me down, and I think understanding that this particular, situation can really attack your body if you don't take care of yourself. So going back to boundaries, like I get more rest. I've been more physically involved, so working out more. I would say also being more consistent with appointments. I think Black men in general are bad with just like going to see the doctor, going to see a therapist, going to take care of their health. So, I mean, there's so many appointments that have been overdue, like way overdue. Like I went to my PCP last Friday and he was like, "You supposed to see me last year."
I just had my first prostate exam when I'm 45.
Well, hey, it's better.
I'm supposed to do that at 40.
it's better late. I mean,
44, not 45.
I mean, but technically, you
Whatever.
probably already had a prostate exam, so
Ah!
so you'll be fine.
All right,
but yeah,
Ethan.
He
I said, okay.
He said he was
Ethan.
gonna get you.
I love you
He said he
too.
was gonna get you. I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree. I think with you, like,
oh, what happened?
Being in the pandemic, it was just going to work, coming home, right? For me, I think it was that time I was fresh out of a relationship, and I was like, "Ooh, this is really boring," and so I had been so used to a companion that I was just like, "Okay, this is not working for me. Okay, let's go to the park. Let's reconnect friends. Like, if I'm gonna hang out with anybody, okay, we're doing it outside. I'm not going in a building. Everything wasn't open, so I was just like, let me refocus. And as far as like life and my goals, I think I thought, oh, I got time. Oh, I got time. I can do that. Oh, I got time. But then I was like, oh, I might not have time. So let me set certain things up, right? Like I had insurance policies. I was checking all that stuff. Checked on my mom more. I talked to her every day, but like my grandmother, who I talk to every now and then, my brother, who lives in a different state. I think for me, it was just family. What is important? Family, work. I was just trying to prioritize everything, like companionship. I mean, I had a quarantine bay. So I didn't have those issues.
This boy had a whole boyfriend. Got a whole new, had two whole new boyfriends during quarantine. He got a whole new relationship.
Right. Two.
Yeah.
Two.
But no,
Two.
he wasn't out there in the streets, but he did really social distance. He went to parks. He was really doing the park stuff.
And then my mom kept asking me, so when you come?
And the phone stuff.
Yeah, I was like, no, I cannot. No, we're gonna talk on this phone for about 3 weeks before we even meet. No,
he did.
I gotta go to work, and I saw people at my job get sick, and we was like, woo, who got it? And then it was like, how they been, So I was cautious about I see enough people at work. I don't need to see people outside of work. Let's go to Ivory.
So I'm gonna laugh because I do shade Ethan whenever I do see Ethan out. If I see Ethan walk into a building that I'm in, I go, no, y'all, for real. I go, it looked like the Holy Ghost walked in. I'll be looking, I'm like, so what are you doing here? Y'all, he go out probably twice a year. That's what I say. So I actually ran into him. I ran into him last week, and I said, well, I guess I'll see you in 9 months, 9 to 10 months, baby, because he does not. And this is nothing new though. I've known Ethan more than 10 years, so like, yeah, he don't go anywhere. But anyway, yeah, he doesn't. But to your point, I guess we do have quiet time when we do come home. So your brain is just going and you're thinking about things that you can do and that you want to do. I like to eat, as you can see. So I like restaurants, but this whole pandemic changed the whole restaurant dynamic. It was
the food became nasty.
Like to go sit out. You couldn't even go sit out. No, you couldn't go sit down at a restaurant. And I'm the person to go to a restaurant by myself and sit down and chew.
Me too.
Because I like to just taste different things.
Sit down and chew.
Yeah. Give me 2 entrees. I won't even eat all that. But because I like to taste the food, I was like, okay, let me do this. But that's what I do. But it did change that. So again, how you spend time with people that you love is very important. I went months without seeing my family because I was afraid to go to Beaumont and go to my mom's house or go to my sister's house and expose them to something that I've been exposed to here in Houston, because we do have millions of people here, more than the population in Beaumont. You can pass the same thing around. However, my sister was working from home. My other sister, her salon was closed. The kids were not going to school. So if I go visit the family, I am exposing them to what I've been exposed to here in the city. So, it was tough. And making those decisions not to see your family, I love my family to death. I've known people, most recently, a friend of mine who lived in Beaumont, COVID-19 got his mom sick. He went home to take care of his mom in Beaumont. She ended up passing away. The daddy contract COVID-19 as well. The daddy, well, Larry passed first. Larry died on Thursday. The daddy died on Sunday. So the mother, the father, and the son all within a 2-week time span. So, you know, when you think about stuff like that, your family, I mean, that's all we got for some people. And then we have our friends. So when you do pick a quarantine circle to say, hey, y'all, I'm cooking right now, I'm gonna come over here. We did have the same, me and my friends had the same type of circle to where we all just would meet on certain days, or it could be a Tuesday night. And we're like, hey, I cooked this, I smothered some chicken, or I did this, I did that. And like CJ said, I have a bar at home too, a little bar over here. So if you want to go get you a drink, walk over to the bar and get you one. I do like the time socializing when I'm out. So yeah, making things important for me, which is self-care. Having had heart surgery over the past year and a half. So, you know, things that I expose myself to, you know, and being accountable for whatever I do. So like things like that, you know, I do think about things like that. Career objectives. I was telling my employees, y'all, like no other. A lot of companies I know struggle with the same thing where we were shorthanded for an extended amount of time because when one person gets exposed to the disease at my company, we had to do certain things in my location. Okay, now you got to go on quarantine. Now you got to do this. So then we had people not in certain roles. So the jobs are not getting done. So you have those who taking advantage of COVID-19.
No, but Ivory, but did you think about like your forgotten things, aspects of life? Like, did you think about like
partnership?
That's what I tell you. Career. I was talking about career.
Okay.
So my career is what I thought about because of people who were furloughed, and because I do have the opportunity to hire people. When people would come and they apply for a job, it makes me think about my own career because I'm like, okay, thank you, Lord. I still have a job because a lot of people were out of work and a lot of people were trying to work. So staffing, Ethan works in HR, staffing headcount, things that you can and cannot do. You cannot fill positions because people were out of work because they still have their position. So it kept making me think about myself. And I'm like, what if I didn't have a job? Like, what would I do? So that was most important for me and how I'm going to live. So that was my family and my career was what
your focus.
Yeah.
What about CJ?
The first thing that sort of came to my mind during this time frame was just my health. Over the last couple of months, I had like gained weight, and so I was like, hold up, this is not you. You're not a guy who wears weight. You know, I had gotten bigger than I had been in probably 13 years. So I was like, no, I need to lose weight. So, you know, I started.
You cut out?
Back.
Okay.
And get back healthier. Making sure that I was, you know, taking care of myself, making sure that I was doing those things. And so, you know, it's a slow process for me, but I'm glad to be down 25 pounds. So
congratulations.
Check that off my list.
Okay, 25.
Then, you know, it was about, thank you. Then it was about what can I do differently? You know, is there something that I've had a passion about doing? So I started my own travel agent business. Everybody comes to me about travel, you know, asking me, you know, hey, can you look up this flight? Can you do this for me? Can you? So I started a travel agent business. I did it slow, hadn't really done a whole lot to broadcast it, but I wanted to just to see, you know, do I have the time to put into this and make it something that would be big and, you know, that could come in and take over, you know, me working my full-time job.
You need to send us the link so we can put that on there.
I will. I definitely do that. And I just learned that was something that I enjoyed doing. And I branched out and got a lot of people, you know, I've helped a lot of people do some traveling, just even locally, just, you know, renting a car, getting a hotel, those types of things. So it's allowed me that opportunity to help people to get away from some of this. So I took that opportunity to do this. And then lastly, the one thing was I looked at my life from a companionship place. And I was like, me and my partner had been together for 2 years. We've been through some ups and downs, but through this, we grew stronger. I saw that we were a unit. So when we went to the Dominican, it wasn't my plan. I just was like, hey, will you marry me? Let's get married. And
congratulations, shut up.
So I proposed in the Dominican because it was just what I just felt it. We were connected, we were there.
Congratulations.
So, yeah.
That's what's up.
It's caused me to do a lot of self-reflecting and make moves that I probably wouldn't have made if this hadn't happened. So
right.
Can I be the flower girl?
Flower
girl. I want you to be the flower girl.
Flower lady.
I want you with a little tutu.
I want ponytails. Little ponytails.
Flower lady.
I want you in a little ruffle.
I'll be sprinkling. I will sprinkle
with
flowers.
A basket.
I will sprinkle the flowers like this.
Y'all are crazy. Okay, so CJ, that was actually a great segue to our next question. Our next question is: have you redefined or changed your friendships and personal relationships since COVID? Do you want to?
So yes.
Yeah, go ahead first.
Yeah, there are people that I disconnected with because I saw that the friendships were not a value add to my life. There were people who I didn't think were value adds that became value adds. So I think doing this, we began to see things. I saw things very differently with friends and friend circles, because we call a lot of people friends, but I really realized they were more of associates. So it caused me the opportunity to see things in a different light. Oh, you don't have access to me like you used to, so you're not being bothered with it. And then there were people who I didn't give access to that were the ones that were like, oh, hey, how are you doing? You good? What are you up to? Both of my best friends, they don't live here. So we had, we normally travel to see each other. So we just became very creative. Like I think most of us had house party videos, and we were drinking and just talking and Zoom and things like that. But it caused me to value people who bring value to my life totally different than I did before. And it caused me to stop saying, oh, that's my friend so quickly. That now I have to see the value that you're bringing, and hopefully you'll see the value that I can bring to your life. So yeah,
I would have to say I agree with that because a lot of I went through a very hard time over the last couple of months when I wasn't working, and it was scary. Like a lot of people, I wasn't out advertising, oh, Curtis is going through this, but there was blessings out there that happened from people that I didn't even expect anything from, and it's so bad, it almost makes me come to tears right now that people I know that friends. I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but I know that friends aren't always the ones that you see all the time. Friends aren't the ones that you talk to every day. Friends aren't the ones that are just that you're going out to have drinks with all the time. The friends were the ones that were there taking me to the hospital and making sure that I was there.
Calling the ambulance. Pulling up.
Friends was making sure that without even knowing my financial situation, found ways to deposit money into my account without me even knowing.
Your clients?
It was weird. Like the blessings that were received made me think about how I knew I impacted people in a way by just having conversations and being polite, specifically at work, but I didn't realize how much of an impact I had. Because baby, let me know, my relationships with my clients have gotten that much stronger. I didn't have to ask not one time to let people know that I wasn't working or anything, but bills still got paid, by the grace of God, and my account was plentiful, and And not even just that, because it's not always it's not monetary and tangible things that I was blessed with. It was my relationship with my sister went to a whole nother level. You know, we found out more about each other. We know each other very well. We grew up with each other, but we connected way more than what we've been before. So like, yes, I've redefined how I've actually literally wrote it down on I have a vision board in my bathroom, TMI, too much information, above in front of my toilet, my vision board. And it says what I want from friendships and personal relationships. And it goes back to how I can get the encouragement, the motivation, and the inspiration from my friends, and as they can receive it as well from me as well. And it's just helped me think about who I interact with and how much time I put in, how much energy I put into people I'm not even dealing with anyways. Because before I would think about things, when somebody would say something that really didn't impact me anyways, but I put a lot of energy into that. And now I just make sure that I put a lot of energy into things that I can control, and it makes an impact around me that I never even thought about before. So
let's go to Ethan. Hold on, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say just in terms of, how they've changed or been redefined, I think kind of going back to maybe the first or second question, just kind of observing how people prioritize and how they moved in this pandemic. It was like people that I thought that I was romantically interested in or wanted to be around, like was
Not the hookah.
under the pandemic. I didn't understand that. Like, is that how you value your life? And so it just made you like take a mental note, like, okay, that person really doesn't if they don't take their best interest in heart, like, why would I put my life in their hands too? But like on a more personal note, like going back to what Curtis was saying, I think the relationships that mattered, I think became extremely more personal, almost like sacred to a point, because the language and the verbiage changed. So instead of like, hey, how are you? It's like, how are you feeling today? Or if something was going on, it wasn't, is there anything that I can do to help out? It's like, what can I do? And so it became more of taking ownership for your friends, like, and speaking in a language where like I don't hide the fact that I dealt with anxiety and depression through this, and so being open, like having that dialogue with my friends, like, yeah, I almost fell out this week, like, do you need me to come, like, when do you need me to come over, and vice versa. And then they would follow up, like if I declined the social gathering on Friday because of like, hey, I'm just not feeling it, they would call me like Saturday. I'm like, what's up? Like, how you feeling? Are you feeling better? So I think, the conversations changed. They became more elevated. They became more personal. So I would say, yeah, they definitely, the relationships have definitely changed. Even with my family, it definitely made me appreciate them more. I think, especially now that, you can't even turn the news on every day with, somebody transitioned or exiting Eden. So I think it just definitely puts it into perspective. Like, I need to check on people more consistently, and on a regular basis.
I noticed too, like with a lot of just off of social media, because I read a lot of social media and Facebook. But I what you were saying, Ethan, is that instead of asking general questions like an open or closed question, I mean, people were asking closed-ended questions to your friends. You asked open-ended questions where they can actually expand on what they're actually saying, what's going on with them, and people were being more inquisitive with their friends about because. But there was a lot of it was interesting to me that a lot of gay Black men. It was kind of disappointing, but we'll talk about that later. But it seemed like a lot of them weren't. What I did, I was really happy to see that a lot of gay men were stopped talking about things all the time.
Material things.
Yeah,
right?
they were talking about material things a lot. And it
Mhm.
seemed like things started getting a little bit more personal
Mhm.
online. But I'm sorry, but we'll go to
I'm gonna go and then I'll do Ivory.
Ivory.
Yeah.
CJ. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I think for me, did my friendships redefine? I think I've said this before, and I kind of took it to note a while back. There's levels to friendship, right? Like you have your friends who you go party with, you have your friends who you confide in, you have your friends who you talk about career advice with, and you have friends that when your core friends who you've known for a long time. I think for me, I was already in that because of previous situations. So for me, I was just like, oh, I'm not talking to you. Block, delete. And I had to tell somebody. He was like, why don't you talk to such and such, or why don't you talk to this group? I was like, no shade to anybody. I said, we're in quarantine, one, and I said, two, I just don't mess with them like that. Nothing against those people. We're cool, but I need to grow. And they didn't do anything wrong. It's just time for me to figure out what I want to do. And I think even my brother, I had to like have a come to Jesus, like, get your life together because I'm getting mine. And and then our God sister was having kids. I was like, bro, you need to figure it out. You want to do this, just do it. Do your personal training, whatever you want to do. I mean, I start having in-depth conversations about what's next. What's next in life? What's next in the next 3 months? Are you good mentally? Right? Even your spiritual journey, like, what is it? What's going on?
A lot of people had a lot of
For me,
spiritual
I was like,
eye-opening moments
yeah.
over this.
Did they change? Yeah. Next block. I just let's go to Ivor.
So Ethan actually has it on his wall. It says growth is a choice. So when you
Yeah,
think
that's
about
true.
that, instead
I
of using
love
the
it.
word change, use the word growth. So, but that's real. So like
It's
hearing
true.
that behind his head, the verbiage of, did you change it? No, you actually grow through it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are levels to friendship. We do have social friends. We have intimate friends. We have certain levels to friendship that everybody don't have. But I think as to Curtis's point, whenever he said he didn't know the impact that he had on somebody else's life, but the things that you just unconsciously pour into people, no matter if it's financial, it could be just a conversation. I mean, it could be anything. But when you look after people, God look after you. And then in your friendships, so to speak, you have to choose those who choose you.
Mm.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You might not love them no different, but you have to still choose those who choose you.
Yeah.
And sometimes those choices sometimes are
Yeah.
wrong. And then you're like, okay, well, I realized I can't really fuck with you like that no more. So I'm good. I'm gonna be all right.
Love you from a
I'm gonna
distance.
I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do me. And no, and that's
Mm.
okay if that's what it's gonna be. And when you do grow through those choices, then you know kind of how to move next time. And then I think Ethan might have said you watch how some people operate currently, recklessly, and then you just decide, okay, well, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm good. Like, go ahead and do your hookah parties or whatever you got going on
Smoking the
Friday.
Corona down.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. And like but you have to, long and short of it all, choose those who choose you. Re-examine those levels of friendship. It might not be the people that you go to whenever you might be sick, but the conversation has changed from, hey, how are you doing, to your well-being. And a lot of people think about the physical health, but also mental health. People that's working from home, I have a lot of friends that work from home, they were going into depression. Being at home all day long, either on a computer, on a phone, having to take breaks. I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it because you have no interaction with other people. And those that have kids that's at home with their kids all day, baby, I would have vodka up in this bottle with my children and my work or whatever. Yeah, but
Alcohol
the
sales did
reality
go
is,
up.
again, like I said,
Alcohol.
well,
And there's a lot of quarantine babies.
probably
There's a lot
drugs
of
too.
Quarantine babies.
Quarantine babies, yeah. So choose those who choose you. I think that's important. But when it comes to friends, so grow through those friendships to make yourself
I
better.
agree. So what are your thoughts? We all touched on this a little bit before, but what are your thoughts on how the gay Black community has acted during this pandemic? Because I was one of the people, I got on social media for a minute. I got on Jacked. I got on Adam.
Social apps.
It was
became your best
lonely.
friend.
Like, it was lonely just trying to reach out and trying to, like, I don't know. I'm a single person, so I didn't have anybody at home. I didn't have nobody to touch, to feel, or to, just to have somebody to date, feel like, you have different conversations with people that you are interested in versus your family. And I was like, I want to get on the apps, but then you're like freaking out. You freak out. And you're like, oh, I can't go meet this person.
You can meet them in the park.
Maybe
you can go get ice cream, pizza.
But are you always looking for the park situation, or are you looking for the bedroom situation? No, let's be real. Like, I'm being real. And then, like, I linked up, and afterwards I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't want to kiss nobody, and I really like kissing. But I didn't want to kiss nobody.
I got
even though you're on.
I got one question. Did you wear a mask when you was hooking up?
No.
You should have. And did you sanitize before you?
I was thinking, like, oh my God, like, I need
you need your life. You need
no, honestly, I was like, I need it. But how do you be safe? But it was crazy. Look at Ivory.
Nah. Did you wear that damn UV light around your neck?
No, he didn't get that until like later. He didn't get that until later.
I just got the UV light.
Until we would have did it one night. Everybody talk about who did he think he is? Iron Man?
I said that.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if you didn't have a UV light on, you should have woken up with no damn body.
No, I did, but there were people like new though, but doesn't make it any better. But no. I felt a little bit more. I know, but but this has been 6 months. It's been been 6 months. So I wasn't going to be celibate for 6 months. I mean, come on.
How soon did you do it? Hook up after? I mean, during the pandemic.
During the pandemic? Well, I wasn't mobile until like so
it was like a month, 2 months.
Like so I was February, March I got sick.
Mm-hmm. The middle.
So April.
The middle.
So June and July.
The middle. That's the middle.
Because honestly, I didn't have any, like, when I got sick, I was not thinking about sex. Like, I didn't have, like, I didn't want to jack off.
Barely move.
I didn't know, really. I didn't want to jack off. I didn't wake up with erections. Yeah. I didn't have a sexual desire. Like, it just wasn't there. But then after I was sick, like, breathing, just walking down the hall and taking trash out, like Justin saw, like, I walked to the parking lot and it was hard for me to breathe just walking. And so I wasn't really thinking about sex. But then one day that shit came back and I was like, I need to get it.
But if I answered the question, I would say that as a Black gay man, I think that based on where you live and based on your city ordinances determined how the gay people operated. Mm-hmm. Because in the middle of the pandemic, it was certain cities and certain states where you would see all these things going on at, like, the gay clubs, the gay bars, so forth and so on. Houston, I would say they had limitations on what you can and cannot do.
The gay sex parties was jumping off, and everybody I knew, the gay sex parties was jumping off. I'm telling you, I was getting messages.
Had to get in the camera.
I was on Jacked, and those sex parties was popping off, and I was just like,
let's not forget about people fans only.
And like, I was getting messages all the time. No, I was. And then I was seeing a whole bunch of people going to Atlanta, and the same people popping to Atlanta was coming to Houston and going to Dallas, and it was bop, 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 3 cities. And I was just like, and then some people I told they couldn't come get their haircut.
Well,
I told them.
I saw you in Atlanta. You are coming here.
I was like,
I saw you on social media.
I was like, until I see a
refund,
you can't come get your haircut. I'm serious.
Was that before the hookup or after?
It was after party.
What?
Oh, I just
My
wanna
hookup
know. I
had
just
nothing to
have
do with
questions,
those sex
baby.
parties. I didn't go to the sex parties.
Oh, I
but
just want to.
Oh no,
money.
no!
The
I'm just
haircut.
saying,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
wasn't at the
Okay.
sex parties, but I do. I am on the feed. I'm nosy like that, and I want to see. I want to see the video.
No, I
You want
think.
to see what's going on. You want to see what's going on. Yeah.
And then, you know
Put it
what?
across my desk. Bring it across
I
my
need.
desk.
I need to be in the mix. I want to see.
I know this is. I'm gonna go
But
back.
I think we did as gay black men, to answer the question, I would say we have operated. Some of us have operated very recklessly, and then when you did see videos of people not social distancing, I mean that's everywhere. Here in Houston, Atlanta, I went to Miami maybe a month and a half ago, or I don't know, last month or something. It was different because the last time, Justin, we went to Miami. It was it was clearly different. Yeah, it was different because the way that the clubs and the bars and things, it wasn't the same.
Right.
But we have been reckless as a community, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think everybody has, right? Like we've been in this, but well, first of all, working strict 6 months, going to work every day during the pandemic, that's like stress. So I was like, I need a vacation. I need this. I need that. I went to Florida. I went to Baton Rouge. So I was like, I need a break. I think those were mental breaks from everything.
Well, I don't think going on traveling is a bad thing. I think just like I went to DC for the march, right? For the 52nd anniversary of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech.
Mm-hmm.
We got invited to a house party. It was supposed to be invite only.
Tell this story.
Baby, I was like, okay, we're going to go to this house party. We go to the house party. And the niggas was falling out the windows. There were so many people up in the
foggy
house.
windows.
I said, oh, I can't go up in here. I stood outside. It was BYOB, of course, because it's DC and Atlanta. BYOB, they don't have their own.
A house party or a sex party?
It was a house party. I wasn't going to no sex party.
Oh, I just want to clarify.
Oh no,
I was just clarifying. I'm gonna mute my phone.
It was a really house. It's a house party, and so I was freaked out. I was like, I didn't want to go into the house. So I stood outside with my alcohol and I was drinking. And then the people that we were with, nobody went inside. And then the party came outside and the party was just on the corner. And I was just like, I'm ready to go because like the black guys, they were from everywhere because of that march. And nobody seemed like they cared.
Yeah.
Like I was just very.
Hold on, I got a question. Where you at? Maryland, Baltimore.
We were in DC.
Oh, you was in DC
when I went to the
South
party.
Side.
Yeah,
Probably
but
South.
I stayed in Baltimore. But I was like, I'm ready to go because like we went. Everybody went across the street. Like it was so many people, but you know, it was enticing because you know, all motherfuckers look good. You know, you want to say, but you know, I think you just have to be responsible when you. Right now, I think. You know, I was really disappointed in that sense. And then, when we were on U Street and we went to a couple of the clubs on Sunday, like Nelly's Sports Bar and everything, like everybody, you know, all the black people were outside. It was just packed. I left Sunday Fun Day because outside, the inside, they were saying there was only a 25% capacity, but everybody just gathered outside. And so the whole street, and then nobody was really wearing masks. You're all drinking, and then the cops were even coming by. Nobody was saying anything. Like it was just people. I was just like, oh, like it was the most uncomfortable thing ever. But anyways, go ahead.
All right.
Who's next?
What was the question?
Oh, was the how was your thoughts about how the gay black community has acted during this whole pandemic?
Oh, okay.
So Ivory answered. Did Ethan and CJ haven't answered yet? Ethan, what are your thoughts
on how the community handled it?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say probably not the best, and that's just me being transparent. I think even, and I don't want to put anybody.
Don't
out
say
there,
no names. Don't.
But I definitely can speak to. I'm not. But I can definitely speak to certain club promoters in the community. Like when the pandemic first broke out, they were like still putting together club, like they were still doing events, and like that for me, especially for someone who is like a huge supporter of the community, that showed me that they didn't have our interest at heart. It was more about money. So I remember when things slowly started to open up. Even then, it was still a concern with social distancing. Like, we just wanted to be out. Even now, I still see a lot of events where, you know, I'll go on Instagram and see people, like hundreds of thousands of people, I think, still out, you know, in the streets, in bars, you know, not taking full advantage of the safety protocol that the state has mandated, the CDC has mandated. And even speaking to kind of how, like what you mentioned on the apps, you know, I don't, parties are not my zhuzh. That's not what I do. But, you know, even still getting invitations, it's just like, in the middle of everything that's going on, that's still what we're doing, especially with people that you don't even know. So it has been concerning. Now, I think on the bright side that there's been a lot more conversation about what needs to be done, you know, months after, but I don't think, you know, off of face value, like if somebody asked me, like you said right now, I don't think that we've handled it as best as we could, which is actually very detrimental, especially with us being, with having fewer acts, like, you know, less access to healthcare, less access to education, you know, as a demographic, I think
resources, just period.
It behooved us to take that opportunity and really educate ourselves and do the right thing. And I think, unfortunately, you know, our generation is kind of the generation of
selfish.
Well, yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, it can be. I won't put that on everybody. But you know, we love instant gratification. We want to feel things. We want to taste, touch, all the fun, all the ooh ah ah.
Yeah.
Like we definitely could have slowed down at this particular situation.
I saw this. There was this meme on Facebook that said syphilis and gonorrhea could have been eradicated over the 3 months of the quarantine had everybody not had all those. It could have been eradicated in the community had everybody not been jumping around, because, you know, you could take the penicillin and take all the drugs, and everybody could have been cleared
14 days.
Yeah. If everybody would have been responsible.
CJ, thank you, Ethan. Go ahead, CJ. Oh, hold on, you're still on mute.
Wait, there you go.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not going to say that just the gay community handled it recklessly. We all did. The whole country did. I think that we were just a product of everything. America is a country, just like he said, we're all about instant gratification, that we're all about going, doing. So to put our country and say for 14 days, for a month, that you have to stay at home, you can't do anything, it wasn't going to happen, because that's not how this country is programmed. I mean, everybody handled this. We just handled it bad. We didn't do our research. We didn't think of things. We made bad mistakes. I mean, I made bad mistakes. We all have made some form of a bad mistake. Whereas if we look at some of these other countries that were able to quickly get rid of it or quickly deal with it, they were like, hold up, let's stop, let's take a beat, let's get it together. And we weren't like that. We were after day 2, we were like, can we go to the club?
Yeah.
Can we go to the restaurant?
Was it Italy? Who shut it all the way down? I think it was Italy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He said, he was like, can we go to the club? People was like that.
People want to shake a tail.
I think people were scared. I feel like people were scared to be alone with themselves.
That was a big thing, right?
Because we don't spend time by ourselves. We're always busy being busy. And that means busy doing nothing, because we don't want to face ourselves. We never want to look at the man in the mirror. And during this time, we were forced to look at the man in the mirror and deal with things that we didn't like about ourselves. We had this time caused us to do those things. We saw things about ourselves that we sort of brushed to the side, but we actually, during this, we saw those things and we had to look at them.
Oh, I definitely looked at myself. Child, I was tired of looking at myself. So would you, to our next question, if a vaccine was available, would you guys, as black men, gay black men, take part in the trial, or take the vaccine? Why or why not?
Will I take part in the trial? I'm gonna say survey says no. I think when you look at what I think it was a study done. What was the Tuskegee man?
Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah, the Tuskegee experiment. After that, I think, and other things about. Remember, Oprah did the movie about taking the lady's stem cells.
Yes,
and it's almost like you become a
Johns
project.
Hopkins.
No. I'll wait just like everybody else. I got insurance, so when it's available, I'll be ready. But for me, no. No. Let's go to Ivory.
Ivory?
Yeah.
What would you do, Ivory? Oh, wait a minute.
Ivory, unmute
your section. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, no, I would not take it for sure. I think the CDC and the government really have no idea about this virus, because something changes all the time. Just like last week, how they were talking about post 6 feet social distancing thing, and they were saying, well, it really don't matter because this stuff is going to go in the air. It's just always changing. And I think because they're so unsure, then Americans and people who don't read, some people don't watch the news, so they don't know certain things. So if you don't know what's going on, then you're never gonna know. But I wouldn't take the vaccine because I just wouldn't want it, because you have a president of the country who was talking about putting Lysol in people. So like this stuff like that makes you think, that's just a terrible idea. But I wouldn't do it. I think that if we continue to do things as far as wellness goes, certain supplements that you can take, zinc, vitamin C, things that you can do. There's things out there that you can do to kind of protect your immune system. Elderberry, do things that protect your immune system, to boost your immune system, so that you lessen the chance of being exposed without getting the vaccine. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Ethan?
Let's go to Ethan.
I agree. It's a chop for me. So I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's still underdeveloped, and then I don't know, especially with I think the news channel just ran a story about, they completely stopped. I think Johnson & Johnson
had neurological issues with a couple of the candidates, the people that were going through the vaccine.
Yeah. So I think
two of the places
it's being rushed to a certain extent. Yeah, I think it's being rushed to a certain extent, just in time for the election to come around. So I'm kind of piggybacking off of Ivory. I think it's just doing what's best for you and taking control of your health. Taking your supplements, getting rest. Working out, going to your doctor's appointments. I think right now I wouldn't do it. And again, like that whole thing, you hit the nail right on the head. Like as soon as I hear that, I think about like the whole Tuskegee situation with the syphilis vaccine and how we were, just kind of lined up to take a part of that.
Denied the vaccine. They had penicillin and they didn't give it to the people. They just wanted to see how it progressed through the body of the man. And so they allowed the Black people in that community to have syphilis and see how it progressed. And that's why we know people's brain gets destroyed after 30 years.
CJ, right?
Go ahead, Mr. CJ.
And would be a no for me. That would be a no. That would be a no. I've done a lot of like research on just herbs and things and natural things that I'm like, I'm good. I'll take my sea moss. I'll drink some turmeric, and lemon and ginger. Turmeric. Before I take the vaccine. No, that's it. That is actually a hell no.
Yes, mine is a hell no too. I was asked.
Hell no.
Hell no. Like the color purple, the color purple play. Hell no.
Hell no.
They had a whole song saying about the hell no.
Right.
I would have to agree. I would. I was asked specifically to partake in one of the studies, and I told them hell no. I'm like no, and I was asked by a Black gay doctor, male doctor, and I'm like, no. It'd be different if it was maybe the Obama administration, because you could trust that they were going to be serious about taking precautions with the vaccine. But with this administration, you don't know what the hell's going on, and you don't know what they're giving you. And like, I remember when I was in the hospital and they were talking about what's that damn hydrochloroquine?
Yeah, the pill.
I forgot what it was, but I remember like they were pushing that drug, and it was on CNN and NBC and Fox, and everybody was talking about it. And then the next day they were like, oh my God, they did a study and they found out that the mortality rate for the people who took it was lower than the people that didn't take it. Right. And then I went into the hospital and they gave it to me on the first day, and I was thinking in my head, oh no, take it, I'm gonna die. They tried to kill me in the hospital. But the next day they changed the medicine. But I really thought I was gonna die. Yeah, I'm not taking no damn vaccine. They got me fucked up. Nope. I don't think anybody is gonna take this vaccine. Anybody black. I don't think anybody black is gonna do it. And they're really trying to build a campaign to try to push minorities as well as older people to take this vaccine. Because
we're the only ones who not. Everybody else, they're like really want everybody, blacks and minorities, to do it.
So that was the last question for the day. We just wanted to close it out by that and figure out what people's thoughts were about this vaccine, because nobody has really ever talked about it really. And we appreciate you guys' time. And so thank you, Ivory. Thank you, Mr. Ethan, and thank you, Mr. CJ, for participating in our show today, Social Impact of COVID in the Black gay community. And
remember to like, subscribe, and share on Facebook, Instagram, and continue the conversation. All right.
Bye. Thanks, guys.